Let's be girls and talk about shoes today. What the hell? We're talking about boots. We're talking about boots for physical characters. This is a requested video and I felt like it could be interesting for quite a few of you, so we're taking a look at the different kinds of boots that exist in the physical department and when you should use which one. Let's begin with Talaria boots. Talaria boots give you 10 physical power, 18% movement speed, additional 14% movement speed and 25 HP while out of combat, and each time you hit an enemy you gain 30 gold, which can only occur every 90 seconds. A very interesting item in my opinion, but kind of a niche item, simply because the only ones who really should and will make use of it in most scenarios are warrior supports. You'll hardly see this on solo warriors just because you mostly fight one guard. You will hardly see this on junglers because it takes away a lot of their early gank potential, early clear and damage. So really, that's the only place left for it. It is a good item, and especially if you're a little bit behind or you need that extra farm as a support, it's worth getting depending on the situation. But as I said, it's just rare compared to the others, so we're not going to take it much further into the equation here. Instead, we'll move on to Reinforced Greaves. Reinforced Greaves have plenty of different stats. They have 15 physical power, 150 health, 30% crowd control reduction, and 18% movement speed. They're also relatively cheap because they only cost 1,400 gold in total, while every other boot costs at least 1,500. So, the good part about this item is that it gives you early tankiness. 150 health is not to be underrated early on. It can be quite good, especially if you don't want to build another health item too early and, for example, go into Breastplate of Valor afterwards. It's really nice. The problem with this item is it kinda gives you too much. This may sound weird, but the item has 30% crowd control reduction. In most cases, you will get something defensive later. For example, Spirit Robe or Bulwark of Hope, and both give you 20% crowd control reduction. Just a quick info in between, crowd control reduction means if you get stunned or CC'd of any kind, then the crowd control duration is 100%. If you have reduction, you, for example, will get stunned for a little less. So if you would usually get stunned for 1 second, you get stunned for 0.7 seconds with a crowd control reduction. I think the minimum cap is 0.5 seconds. As crowd control gets reduced, if you get hit by successive crowd controls right after each other, it's actually quite good to have crowd control reduction because you simply take a lot less time being CC'd and standing around. But still, it's annoying that if you get another CC reduction item, it actually takes you over the cap because the cap is 40%. So if you have 30% on your boots, you probably won't fight an item that works with it. So this is kind of a problem. At the same time, if you need that early crowd control reduction, then feel free to take it and maybe get some overcap later. It's not that bad. It's just a little bit of wasted stats that could be used better. But then again, the item also has 150 health and a little bit of physical power. So Reinforced Greaves can be great. But where should you build it? Junglers typically don't need it. There was a phase where Dirty Bubble was good, where you could actually use it on junglers, and junglers with high base damage on their abilities, like Thanatos, could theoretically use it, but I don't see too many realistic applications at the moment. In solo lane, there was some experimenting going on with it by some pro players, where they would rush straight into Reinforced Greaves for fast rotations and some early tankiness, and just got 1 punch each, and then just, safe cleared the lane, didn't fight too much early on, which is a nice option, but it really requires you to play back, and it didn't really settle as much as it could have, because people didn't like it as much. It didn't feel as powerful early on as a typical solo lane start. Where it still has a place is in support. As explained in one of my recent videos, which I will hopefully link here, effective health is quite important. So if you have health along with defense, then you have the stats you need. As Breastplate of Valor, for example, doesn't have any health, it's not that good early, as explained in the other video. But if you get Reinforced Greaves for the health and then get Breastplate of Valor, you actually have a decent amount of effective health because you have both health and the defense. This can be especially good for Guan Yu, who really needs that cooldown reduction early on for his heal. So if you play Guan Yu, you can go from Reinforced Greaves into Breastplate of Valor and have decent heal and decent tankiness. You have to keep in mind, though, that the enemy support can outfarm you quite easily if they go for Talaria boots or Traveler's shoes, depending on what kind of support you're facing. So the uses are limited, but they are there. Mostly in support and solo. And with that, we're moving on to the big fish. You got Warrior Tabi and Ninja Tabi, and we'll do them in a direct comparison. So Warrior Tabi costs 50 gold more than Ninja Tabi, 1,550, has 40 physical power and 80% movement speed. Ninja Tabi costs 1,500, has 20 physical power, 15 attack speed, and the same movement speed. So the only difference here is you pay 50 gold less, you get 20 physical power less, and you get 15 attack speed more from Ninja Tabi. In all honesty, from the stats alone, Ninja Tabi sounds like the better option just because it has a better mix of stats that are cheaper in the end. However, you have to keep certain factors in mind. A, not all characters benefit from attack speed. Ability-based characters just need power, along with penetration. For example, Thor would just benefit from power more. Even some other abilities that are not directly damage scale from power. I think, for example, Chuck's heal. So in that regard, power is often valued. And the other main important difference, or the core essence of why you often get Warrior Tabi over Ninja Tabi, is that early power allows for early ability clear on camps or waves. So in solo lane, you will hardly ever see Ninja Tabi, simply because the one using Warrior Tabi will mostly outclear the one using Ninja Tabi. Basic attacks are not that important early on, abilities are. And the further the game goes, the less value abilities have compared to basic attacks, depending on the character obviously, but early on, abilities reign supreme. Same goes for jungle camps, where the jungler with higher power is most likely going to clear faster. And same goes even in support, where you can just bully better, because you're not going to basic attack the enemy players as a support. As a warrior support, you want to play aggressive, you want to drop your abilities on them and then get out, ideally. So really, there's not much breathing room for Ninja Tabi. The characters you want to get Ninja Tabi on are those where early attack speed really pays off, and where you ideally have items that transition into a build that helps them, where it benefits. So every character that has an option to build kin size early on doesn't have to, but can benefit from Ninja Tabi. The most notable example here is Kali, who can go straight into kin size because she has the stun to apply the damage afterwards, doesn't need to rush Hasten Fatalis first. In her case, you can go Ninja Tabi if you want to, you don't have to. It's always a matter of, do I want to go for more late game or do I want to go for more clear? Generally, I almost always prefer Warrior Tabi, and the characters where I actually use Ninja Tabi are very, very limited. I would say characters that have the option to do so are namely Bakasura, Kali, maybe Arachne, but I like her better with power. And in solo lane, you might have those warriors that want to build into Kins and Accelerator if they go for a bruiser damage build, for example. Osiris, Bellona, maybe Amaterasu to apply the passive faster, but it's all very situational and very rare that you're actually going to do that. So 90% of the time, you're probably going to get Warrior Tabi. The only place where you see Ninja Tabi a little more is in the Hunter role. Depending on which Hunter you're playing and how you're playing them, Ninja Tabi can be beneficial early simply because it's a little cheaper and because you clear with Golden Bow, so your basic attacks have a decent value early on. You also have a great power spike from Golden Bow already. So overall, the attack speed can help you clear faster, and it helps you more for the further build, the items coming later, especially because as a hunter, you're not going to build kin size all too late most of the time, so it really helps there as well. So overall, Warrior Tabi is your best bet in most situations. Ninja Tabi can be effective on late game carries and specific characters. Reinforced Greaves is rarely used. If you use it, you have to know why and when, and only in certain matchups as well. And Talaria boots is kind of a very niche item that only plays a role in support, but in support you will see it from time to time. However, as most warrior supports are very aggressive, they will often go for Warrior Tabi over Talaria boots. Thank you guys for watching. Duke Sloth, out.